Hello and welcome. This is the Bold Business Podcast Show, and this is Ross Jones. Today, I'm delighted to be joined by Diane Hall, founder of Evolve 3, which is a team training with a difference, I think. Diane, yes?
Definitely, yeah. I'd like to be described that way, definitely.
Tell us what it is then, please. Do go ahead. What is it? How did you come to set it up?
Oh, it's a long story. So I know we're going to try to compact it because there is a lot of reasoning behind. So I've got a background of forensics and forensic linguistics in particular, but I've worked in different disciplines and I wanted to.
Forensics, does that mean you work for the police?
I've worked with the police, not for the police.
Okay.
So I've worked for companies that either are retired police officers who are doing a lot of workshops and things like that. I've worked with those. And I've also worked with a company that did overflow from police, working on digital forensics, mobile phones and computers.
Wow.
I then studied from there forensic linguistics, which is a discipline of forensics. So that's where words are in crime. So anything like the validity of a suicide note or a ransom note or hate mail, death threats, using linguistics to maybe do some offender profiling when they're the only clues that you have, such as colloquialisms or location-based dialects that might pinpoint some line of inquiry. So that's forensic linguistics, but that's just because I was a word lover anyway, and I also love true crime and forensics, anything to do with criminology. So that brought those two worlds together.
So how did you develop that interest then? Was that something you always had when you were a child?
I started working for the forensic company, the digital forensics, in a different capacity. And I don't know if it's just a nosiness that every time a case came in that we had to work on, I had to read the witness statement. I had to know what it was, the context of what I was looking for, which probably wasn't what I was supposed to do, but it was like neighborhood watch on speed. It's like, I have to know what's going on. So it was, so fascinating, such an insight into sort of human behavior. And even though I started studying psychology, but I didn't finish. It sort of reignited that, I suppose, that passion in me that, humans, how they behave, the decisions they make. So, the forensic linguistics took me more down that on a practical route. And then I just feel that the coaching that I did in my business at the time, which was separate to that, had a human connection to it. It was all about the people. It was all about sort of finding out what their needs are and being interested in other people. And then this business evolved 3 years as a social enterprise. And I, over the years, just got so sort of obsessed with true crimes, and I can go and watch psychologists and people who've worked in the police, and they go on tour and do these talks. We sort of hang around them like groupies, like instead of going to see a rock band or whatever, we'll go and see a psychologist or a criminologist.
There's a whole new world out there.
Yeah. Oh God, it's amazing. It's so fascinating. And then obviously Netflix with all its true crime stuff, you literally could feast on this sort of thing forever. But then my daughter started writing murder mystery games a few years ago, which was a little business of her own. And we wanted to sort of bring things together to sort of use this as a team training exercise, because the things you can do in sort of big teams, there's things that you can do in a couple of people. And we were trying to write a case for people to do in a team training scenario. And we kept coming up against a brick wall and saying, oh, well, that wouldn't work, or this won't be interesting. People will be twiddling their thumbs. This will happen, that'll happen. And then we just got stuck. And I started looking at a crime for something else that was completely circumstantial. And it was like, this case would be fantastic to argue and debate and to bring into this, what we're trying to achieve. Why are we trying to fictionalize something that happens every day somewhere in the world anyway? When we looked at this particular crime, because it's public, it's every trial, all the public, it's all public knowledge, all the evidence, all the people that are involved, everything is public knowledge. So it's like, well, we don't even have to do much research. It's just sat there waiting for us to adapt as such. So we took that and we structured it into team training that we believe is missing in the field, because a lot of team training is ego based or competitive or gameplay, that the introverts, which is what we would describe ourselves, me and my daughter, you either roll your eyes or just think I'd rather be at work, because it just doesn't fit us. We're not sporty, we're not competitive. and introverts tend to be the last people that are thought of in these sort of away days or experiences. So that was what was driving us. And we've structured the event to make sure everybody plays a part. So it's not just the loudest voices. The more we sort of took that idea, the more we got told as we delivered this, that it helps the groupthink phenomenon. So it helps people who are at the moment sort of, they're very extrovert. They think that their idea is the best, and they have all yes men and a silo around them. And that this training actually really solves that problem. It allows people to, because they're in a courtroom, in their boardroom, and I'm wielding the gavel, they learn to respect other people's voices and not just their own. They don't get to dominate the session at all. They also, if they don't put the work in and they're all mouth, get humbled very, very quickly, because it's an exercise of debate and of bringing the truth to the fore. So it doesn't matter what in real life is happening. It's on that day who actually presents their evidence better, who argues it better, who has a more compelling case. And it's hardly ever, if at all, the people with the fragilest and largest ego, shall we say.
Sounds fascinating. So does this happen, do you take this into a business, or do they come to you, or or do you book a venue? Well, how does that work?
Well, both really, but we take it to where we can run it. So if a business has a team, they usually do have a meeting room if they've got a team size. Yeah. So we would run it there. Because it's a social enterprise, any corporate that we work with allows us to then take it into schools. So I've run it in colleges and universities. It's slightly different how we run it for them, because one of the things that tends to be an issue in this next generation is a lack of communication skills and how to have a healthy debate and not to be led by emotion, because that generation has been so screen heavy that actually to be able to put their point forward is not easy to them. So it's not the same set of skills, but both groups as such get different things out of the same experience.
No, I see that. So basically, does this mean that the corporates pay for it and that money goes towards helping schools?
Yes.
It's brilliant. I love that. And for both the corporate teams and your students, I can see they get different things out of the debate.
Absolutely.
Oh, wow. Yes. And so how does it go down in schools? I can imagine they're all over it, aren't they? Or are they a bit timid or what?
It depends. I mean, again, there is no two sessions that are as alike. It doesn't matter who's on it. So I can run it. We had Crime and Justice Week at Barnsley College week before last, and I did 2 separate sessions, and they were completely different. Same age children, same location, but just different group of people delivered things in a different way. I have had it where students have been very upset at not winning, so thrown the books across the room because they couldn't regulate their emotion at being at losing, to also having debate teams who actually want to do this for a living when they leave college. People that might be wanting to go into politics. So whereas a lot of the time they debate opinion, there's very few opportunities for them to debate facts. In the context of a crime such as that. So there've been a couple of debate teams that have really, really enjoyed having not just something given to them for them to debate, for them to actually form their own case to debate. So it's been really good. And
so do you have people wanting to be a lawyer as a result of it?
We have, in some of in the colleges and stuff, we've had people that, in fact, no, I'm saying we've had adults when we've done it that have said, oh my God, that was amazing. I should have been a lawyer. But the younger people, there was someone who came on, I think they were studying accountancy, and they enjoyed the session so much that they wanted to change the course. And it's like, it was at the start of the school term. So to be fair, they'd not really done much of the course that they were on, but they thought it was just so amazing, and that was just like a calling to them. They just found something inside them they didn't know they had.
Oh, I love that. And do you dress up do you have your wig on and the
I have a gavel. I don't go for the wig. I've got the white hair anyway.
Fabulous. And so this seems, I like it where you said that it's a calling for them. So, but it was a calling for you too.
I don't know what it is about forensics, but I could just, and police work, criminology, it's just something that I've never wanted to be in the police force because I'm not a confrontational person. But I suppose when I was younger, I wouldn't have understood how many other ways there are to be in that sector or be in that sort of field without needing to go to court and be an expert witness or go to the police and have to sort out a domestic that, you know, two people are kicking living daylights out of each other. That was never what appealed. But the mystery of it and I suppose to a certain extent, that sort of, it's not gameplay is the wrong word, but it is in the sense where you sort of exploring different avenues. Well, what if this? Well, what if this? But this, you know, and all this sort of pontificating. We do it, as I say, in the murder mystery games anyway. So it's like nice to sort of apply real life situations as well. So if you were to look at our search history, we really probably would get into trouble because we're always searching, you know, different ways to kill or different ways to hide a body or, you know, but it's relevant to our work, she says.
Wow. It sounds amazing. But so you've got another business there as well, haven't you?
Yeah, it's not one that I really do too much with, but
this is your main focus on this one.
Yeah.
And so how long has it been going and what led you to actually start? Well, you've told us what led you to start it up, but in terms of just curiosity, just fascination with true crime.
Yeah, I suppose when I had my first business, the one that you just mentioned, that was an independent publishing house and helping people self-publish books. So that, again, I enjoyed. It was around words, linguistics, anything in the written manner is what sort of is what I'm good at. I enjoy it. But I couldn't make that a full-time job as such. So unfortunately I went into bankruptcy. It ended up in sort of me having to go back to work to earn an income. But I suppose there was that itch, even though that could have been something that put me off ever being in business again. I'm also somebody that has to have variety. So I never went back to one job. I went back to 4 or 5 jobs and each one having their own little slot. And over the years, because that was probably about 10 years ago, I've sort of knocked down the jobs until I can just afford to pay my bills as such. But it's important to me that I feel fulfilled when I get up on a morning. It's important to me that I enjoy what I do. I'm very lucky to be able to at least try to monetize what I feel I'm good at, what I enjoy doing, what I really could see me doing for the rest of my life. Because life's too short. And even though I've worked in jobs because I've had to work in jobs, it's been fulfilling work to a point, but there's always been that bit missing, that you're in control of your own destiny as well. So in the last year, that's how long Evolve 3 has been going. It was the final decision that I want to do this. This is the stuff. I can see the impact it has on people. I can see how I could build more and more from this. I could build training programs. We could put gameplay into other training. We could really make a difference to team training or how people perceive team training, from the sort of, you know, let's build Lego or let's do a pyramid out of straws or let's go on a whitewater rafting weekend. You know, there's great things for some people, but there seems to be a little bit of a gap for sort of intelligent, sort of desk-based, immersive events, which I think is what we could produce going forwards. Lots more and more of them.
Yeah, no, I can see it as a TV program.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
Well, there was something on Channel 4, I think it was about 4 or 5 months ago, that was underpinned really what we're trying to do. So we say we bring the courtroom into the boardroom to dissipate the groupthink idea or the loudest voices as such. But Channel 4 did an experiment where they had 2 juries that didn't know about each other that sat in the same courtroom with just a divider between them. Yeah, did you see that? It was so fascinating, and they were seeing all the same evidence. So there was no reason for them to come up with 2 different verdicts. They were seeing the same thing, but they did. And that was because on one of the juries, there was a human element that actually steered the humans on that one to come up with something that for some people didn't feel right, but they felt bullied's probably a bit strong, but they certainly felt led by this very strong character, which actually is happening across a lot of juries. If there's a statistic that 30%, even in 2025, 30% of UK convictions are unsafe for one reason or another. And one of those reasons is this groupthink element, or as generations have moved on, it's like an entitlement that our voice and our opinion is the be all and end all. And for some people, they don't have the self-awareness or the communication skills to pull back. It's not always about what you say. It's actually sometimes about listening to others and respecting their decision. And it just made me feel, if this is happening in courts where your oath is to serve your fellow human, it must be happening in boardrooms. It must be affecting decisions left, right and centre. It must be making companies almost stifling their innovation because they're just listening to one or two voices and not taking the full picture of everybody that could make a difference.
Yeah, I think that's so fascinating. And I do find that in businesses that I work with, actually, Diane, that occasionally you'll get the person with the loud voice who it's not necessarily the owner, but it's usually some form of leader somewhere up the hierarchy, actually refusing to listen to any suggestions that others make. Like, we've tried that before, it never works, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Just automatically denying the opportunity to try some new idea out. It's really interesting, isn't it? Well, so I can understand why you're interested. Like, it's just the human psychology is so interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I love it that you've got this now. It's taken you a while, but you've got this vision now. It's become clearer. So what's next?
Well, we'd love to do more cases. We've got a half-day case that's an obscure American crime that tends to be the one that's used most. But we also have the full-day experience as such that's based on the Jeremy Bamber, the White House farm case. Yeah. Absolutely fascinating. The evidence in that case. I mean, we've worked on it for so long, and even now we couldn't put out. If you have to have 100% beyond doubt, we could not do that. There's so much conflicting evidence in that case. We run it for the Barnsley College management team. And because there's so much evidence, that's why it's a lot longer. And we did it across the school day. And I thought, they're going to be reading so much more evidence. Will they be bored? They were gagging for more time. They were like, oh my God, we haven't got to go home. I want to stay here. I want to carry on. Can we have longer? And it's like, no, you've got to go home.
So can I just ask then, because for people who are listening who may be interested in taking part, is there just, like, you take it into schools and colleges and you take it into businesses? Do you hold events and people just book on a place, just combine themselves?
I don't hold public events. I have in the past done that. And I know it's still a young company, but we've done it a couple of times where we've been funded to put it on as a free event. Yeah. We've had the whole event sold out, but no one turned up. 30 odd people, no one turned up. And it's just put me off that if it's an existing group for any reason, so that could be a networking group, it could be a group of friends that come together and want to book it, that's not a problem. But I've got far more opportunity and far more vision for people who can make use of it than people who book on something and don't turn up, which is that I think there's a whole psychology behind the value of free. So I'm not just saying it's my event. I think there's a lot around that to unpack as well. So I think it's not the event as such, it's people perceiving a free event as value. So it's a chargeable event, but as a social enterprise, anybody that does pay the full price knows that they're indirectly helping colleges. We even run it as fundraisers for charities at a subsidised price so that they can use the ticket price above that onto core costs. So, we try and give back, probably 90% of what we take in. So there, as a corporate, exercising their ESG or their CSR policy and contributing to social value. So everybody wins. I mean, in my mind, it seems such a lovely model that, they get what they want here. I can pay my bills and feel fulfilled. And here, this next generation is getting all the help they need, or a small charity that can't necessarily cover its costs because there's little funding out there can pay their bills as well. So it's a lovely idea. And it's just same as anything else, going forth and multiplying and sort of getting the word out there. So thank you for having me on this podcast.
No, it's brilliant. I love the idea. What's the minimum number who can book an event with you?
So for that session, I would say the minimum is probably 8, just so that it's still a healthy, decent, immersive event still. And probably maximum, probably about 24 to 28 maybe. Just then after that, it probably gets where it's, again, not immersive. I want everybody who comes to have an equal good time and an equal role in it. And if you have too many, that could fall apart. And if you have too few, it could dampen the immersive element.
Sounds wonderful. And where do people find out more?
So they can get in touch, info@evolve3.org.uk or the website evolve3.org.uk. There'll be information on there. So if you do go on the website, there's also the element that we offer AI training, but that's more because technology is another passion, maybe again with the digital stuff. But I actually think the two marry really well, because if we're going into a world that's going to be so automated and full of AI, for teams to get better as a company and grow, they've got to get more out of their people assisted by AI, not replaced, assisted by AI. But the AI can't do the critical thinking, they can't do the problem solving. And this sort of event instills that, it evokes it. So if anything, team training should be a necessity as much as marketing now, because you've got AI that's taking so many of the laborious tasks. But what do you do with your people then? How do you innovate? AI can only sort of build on what people have and what has happened before, because it works on predictability. So how do you get the unpredictable? How do you get the innovation? How do you get the imagination? AI cannot produce that. But if you have people that don't speak up because you've got a culture of groupthink, you have disengaged people because they might be remote workers, so they don't come together and sort of bond as a team. Or if you have people that, they might come together and do sort of these sort of experiences, but it's not suited because people would rather, they don't want the competitiveness. It's all about sort of putting their skills to use in a immersive, healthy way. That's what we're hoping to combat.
Yeah. Sounds amazing. We can all tell you've got a lot of passion for this.
I love it.
So good luck with it, Diane. I think it's amazing. I hope to take part in it myself at some stage. So thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.